the fourth king of Bhutan, when he was a teenager, had cast some doubt on GDP as the sole means of elevating people's living standard. So therefore he brought another organizing principle for development, which he called, in his own words, gross national happiness. He also directly addressed through his policies the very importance of culture in our life, culture as a way of seeing the world, and culture as a way of refining yourself, through education, music, arts. These are the kind of skills which are needed by cultivation for greater happiness. So his policies addressed all those 9 dimensions of gross national happiness. And the notion of happiness is intimately, of course, related to the impact of your behavior on others. So it is not completely happiness bound up with the individual himself and his satisfaction of pleasure. So it is much broader. So we want to know now systematically through data what are the relationships, linear or non-linear relationship, between happiness so broadly defined on the one hand and the factors which cause it. So we do surveys every 3 years, and out of the survey results are released through web, through media, and findings of the surveys are presented to the ministries here in order to adapt, if possible, their policies if it is a bit deviant from the course recommended by GNH survey. The second purpose is to inform policy, so that the policies are aligned with the need of the people for also happiness and well-being, through the 9 dimensions. But there are other purposes of government, no dispute about that. But in any government's, any state's function, what we are saying is happiness must be a goal.
What's your hope? What's your vision? What would you really like to see come from this?
For the world as a whole, as we know, it is commonly understood now that 2 things are a problem in the world. One is that development may not be sustainable in the way we think about it, in the way we pursue it. It may not be long-lasting because the way we have been doing is collapsing or destroying the ground on which we are standing. That is nature. Resources are getting used up very quickly. So there is a question on the sustainability of the development conventionally defined. That's one problem. The second problem, which is slightly related to the question of sustainable development, is also that globally, if we see, there is a major problem about equity. All people in theory have equal right because we are all earthlings. We have equal right to the global commons, whether it is the sky, whether it is sunlight, whether it is fish in the ocean, or so on and so forth. We have equal right. But the goods and services are not yet so equally distributed. And should we be able to distribute it a little more fairly, the problem of survival needs of lots of people could be saved. So the equity and sustainability are 2 major problems. Now, everybody in the world is worried about these 2 issues, and people are looking for any kind of ways of dealing with these 2. And the well-being and happiness, or gross national happiness as we call it here, could offer some pathways towards resolving these 2 major issues. The linkages between gross national happiness and solution these 2 problems will take time to explain. But let us say two things can theoretically we can contemplate. One is that we change the goal of societies to happiness and well-being and minimize the role, not eliminate, minimize the role of wealth generation without consideration for equity, without consideration for environment, etc., to minimize it little bit more, minimize it. Just now it is the supreme kind of goal and the purpose, it seems, So people say that we need to expand the cake, otherwise we can't solve the problem, etc. But to replace this sort of thinking with happiness and well-being, which is satisfaction of which is not necessarily always through maximization in goods and services. This is the important point. We need to satisfy basic needs, but maximization of it is maximization of desire, so it's not completely the right way. So to put GNH, happiness and well-being, as the goal. So the goal shift now from GDP, for example, to well-being and happiness. Now, having produced the goal, we also need, finally, to change the lifestyle of the people. Lifestyle of the people must become sustainable. Shift the goal in order finally to shift the lifestyle of the people towards sustainable and at the same time happier individuals. I think it can be done, but we have backlog of history, so behavior needs to be changed in a non-cohesive way.